believers can fall from grace. I think it can happen at least in these three ways. The first way, I think a believer can fall from grace by embracing a false gospel. In Galatians 5:4, Paul wrote, "You have been severed from Christ. You who are seeking to be justified by law, you have fallen from grace." So you guys know what Galatians is all about. There was some false teachers in the church. They were claiming that you had to follow the law in order to be justified. And it sounds like some of the believers in the church embraced this false teaching and embraced this false gospel. And Paul said, if you have embraced this false gospel, the idea that you can be justified by the law, then you have been severed from Christ and you've fallen from grace. Now, that's the first way that a believer can fall from grace. The second way is the Christian allows sin to conquer or master them. If sin is not dealt with in the Christian life, then it grows stronger while the believer's will to resist it becomes weaker. And this process can eventually cripple the will and cause the believer to incur spiritual death. And I look at verses like James 1:15 and 2 Peter 2:20 through 21 as support for that. Now, the analogy that I give is this. A man doesn't drown the moment he jumps into a lake. However, the longer he remains in the water, the wearier he becomes. And eventually, if he refuses to swim to shore, his strength will be used up and he'll sink to the depths. And this will be the situation with a Christian who goes back to living in the flesh. Again, I want to really emphasize this. A Christian doesn't fall from grace after sinning once. I'm not talking about individual sins. I'm talking about allowing sin to destroy their will to follow Christ. And the sin is basically allowed to conquer them, to dominate them, and to take control of their life. So it's not about just individual sins. It's about ongoing, willful, habitual sin that causes this to happen. And the third way is just willfully turning away from the faith. And we read about that in Hebrews 6:4 through 6, among other places. So I would say that those three, and there might be, I don't know if there's any more than that, but those are the three ways that I see in Scripture that a believer can fall away.
Hey, thanks for watching this clip of the Exalted Christ One Accord podcast. If you like what you've seen here, click here to catch the full episode, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of our future content.